For today's occasion, well, always, I'm Adrian Fontes, and for now I'm the Secretary of State. It's my privilege to present the official results of the general election held on November 5th, 2024, together with State Election Director Lisa Mara. We stand before you at this time where every vote carries the will of Arizona's voters to shape our state and our nation. Thank the Governor, Katie Hobbs, for being with us today. Attorney General Chris Mays has also joined us, as has Chief Justice Ann Timmer of the Arizona Supreme Court. And I would invite each of you to share a few words with us before we get starting with the Governor.
Great. So much, Secretary Fontes. Good morning, everyone. I am honored to join you all, along with Secretary Fontes, Attorney General Mays, and Chief Justice Timmer, for this certification of the 2024 general election. And I can't help but think back to 4 years ago when we certified the last presidential election in a backdrop of raging conspiracy theories, attempts to stop certification across the country, that all culminated in an attempted insurrection that none of us saw, could have predicted. I'm very glad that after another presidential election administered under largely the same rules, that none of that is happening. And I'm incredibly hopeful that this ministerial but important function can return just to that boring or signing the papers, certifying the election, regardless of who won, regardless of whether we agree with the outcome or not. I'm hopeful that we can return to that sense of normalcy. And I also just want to acknowledge elections take a lot of work, and I know from being the Secretary of State how much work went on behind the scenes. There was never election season. We were always preparing for the election. I know how much work your office did, as well as county election offices across the state. So my thanks go out to those election officials and staff, as well as the thousands of Arizonans who answered the call to civic duty to help ensure that Arizona voters were able to cast their ballots across the state. This process could not have happened without those countless individuals dedicated to ensuring a fair and orderly election process. So my gratitude goes out to all of those folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor Hobbs. And now we turn to Attorney General Mays.
Thank you. Yes, indeed, boring can be good.
Yeah.
Thank you all. It's great to be here. I want to also offer my appreciation to you, Secretary Fontes and Governor Hobbs and Chief Justice Timmer and Lisa Mara. And it's an honor to be here. I want to also thank our election workers and every Arizonan who participated in the election process, especially the volunteers who made it so smooth and secure and transparent. From running polling places to counting ballots, your dedication ensures that every vote was counted accurately. I also want to especially thank our law enforcement for the role that they played in ensuring the safety and security of voters, elections officials, and poll workers. I know in particular that we are very proud of the work that went on inside ACTIC and the efforts of law enforcement at ACTIC on election night and in the days before and after. So again, appreciate the opportunity to be here on this wonderful and historic day, and I will pass it on
Chief Justice. Chief Justice.
Thank you and good morning. And I too am delighted to be here. This has been an interesting and action-packed election season, and seems to be the norm now for the judicial branch. So there were quite a few challenges to initiatives and to ballots and such. When that happens, as people are passionate and people are enthralled with their initiatives or wanting to challenge them, and so there's quite a bit of pressure that can be put on courts during this time frame. In a very short time that are given, people are conducting hearings and making those decisions and having to work nights and weekends to do that. And I'd like to acknowledge the judicial officers, the staff attorneys, the clerks and such who work nights and weekends to make sure that decisions could be made in a timely fashion, and more importantly, that everybody was given the full opportunity to be heard on all of these challenges. That is democracy in action. That is application of the rule of law. And I'm immensely proud of all the judges and staff that did their job, and I wish to thank them.
Thank you very much. And as we know, it takes an enormous number of people across the entire state in a variety of different areas to make our elections work. Turning to the results, as of Thursday, November the 21st, all counties have reported. Ballots cast in Arizona totaled 3,428,011 for an overall turnout at 78.49%. For the big race, the Republican candidate Donald J. Trump won 1,770,242 votes. The Democratic candidate Kamala Harris won 1,582,860 votes. We will now canvass this election. The canvass is the official certification of the results, and it makes sure and finalizes the results for the 2024 general election. Once signed, I will hand the canvasses, and there are 4 copies just as a matter of housekeeping. I will hand it off to the governor. We will then pass those to the Attorney General and the Chief Justice for their signatures and affirmations. They will then be passed to the Election Director, who will affix the seal of the state for those documents. Once we're done with this, however, there's a bunch more stuff that the governor and I have to sign. We'll talk about that momentarily. And for the time being, thank you. These sealed documents now stand as the official record of the November 25th, 2024, I'm sorry, November 5th, 2024 general election results. Based on this canvass, my office and the governor's office have prepared certificates of ascertainment for presidential electors, the certificate of election for United States Senator, and the governor's proclamation declaring the ballot measures approved by the voters. The governor will proceed to place her signature on each of these documents. I will sign in affirmation. And there's a bunch of these, so you thought that was tedious. What does this one have?
You didn't bring donuts?
Not for you, my friend.
Do you need it timing? What? Oh. Oh, oh, okay. Do you need me to put the time on them? Yes, put the time.
Very defensive of your old friend. All right, as we look towards the future of elections, let's build on this success. We are prepared for the challenges which we did see arise. Our democracy is robust, our state is resilient, and our commitment to ensuring that every vote counts is unwavering. This concludes the canvass for the 2024 general election. Thank you very much, everyone.
Are we good for a couple questions? If we could just keep,
Yep.
if we could just keep it on topic with the election with canvas today?
Secretary Fontes, can you talk a little bit more about what happens now? Now that this is official, what do you expect to see, recounts, lawsuits?
So from the official perspective, there's going to be a lot of transmittals. We have a variety of different roles that we will play, transmitting to the United States Senate, to the National Archives, and publishing. We will keep copies, et cetera. But as far as recounts are concerned, there are a few races across the state that are to be recounted. We have petitioned the appropriate court to receive an order to do that. My team has already conducted logic and accuracy tests where that is necessary pertaining to state recounts. Now, there are some county and local recounts around the state, but because those elections don't fall under the purview of state elections specifically, any of those testings and preparations happen at the county level. Once those recounts are done, the results will be sealed and then given to the appropriate judicial officer. Those will be opened in open court and then read off. So at this stage of the game, we're all done except for the recounting.
Are you expecting any contests a la 20 or 2022?
I don't know. We may have some contests, but I think given the fact that Arizona has essentially the same elections folks running under the same elections rules with the same election systems, and we seem to have done a pretty doggone good job this time around. I think the age of election denialism is, for all intents and purposes, dead. I know that may be a disappointment to you. Yes, ma'am.
Well, for anyone, I guess, but for the governor specifically, do we need faster election results?
I am more concerned about voters having every opportunity to cast their ballot and getting the results right.
But would you make any changes to get faster results?
I am willing to consider changes that don't make it harder for Arizonans to cast their ballot.
Anything else?
Like what?
I think that's all you're getting out of it.
Yeah.
Is that all our questions?
Yes.
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room here. Since you're sitting next to your friend, the governor, you floated the possibility of running for governor yourself in a couple of years.
Well, I will tell you, I'm very happy right now, making sure that our elections workers are very well represented in the work that they do, that officials across the state get the credit for doing very well with not enough resources, which is what they need. The governor's team and my team, and both the governor and I, continue to work well together to make sure we have free and fair elections, and that's what today is all about. And so whatever other people are talking about, we're going to leave all that outside the door for today. But for now, I'm very happy being the Secretary of State, and I'm very happy to work with Governor Katie Hobbs.
Yeah, I'd like to get a response from AG Mays and the governor to what Adrian Fontes just said. Do you believe election denialism is dead?
What I think is that everyone needs to take an example from this election, that whether you agree with the election results or not, our elections are conducted in a fair, secure, and accurate manner. And, all of the lead up to potentially challenging the election that we saw from one side in the presidential race went away as soon as the results were what people wanted.
You got a working microphone.
Oh, okay. Do I think election denialism is dead? No, I don't. I believe that I am still dealing with one election challenge for my 2022 race. So obviously we are all aiming toward a return to normalcy as the governor said earlier. But I'm not convinced that we're there yet. And I think it's the job of everybody sitting up here today and throughout our state to continue to drive home the message that Arizona has safe and secure and accurate elections, and that our elections officials throughout the state of Arizona at every level are doing a fantastic job. But I think the proof is in the pudding. We'll see over the next couple of election cycles what happens, but I don't think that we're there yet.
Is that it? Anything else?
You mentioned a lack of resources. Can you kind of tell me a little bit more about what those lack of resources were that made you feel?
Well, I've been talking about this, I think we've all been talking about this for a long time. Federal elections, for example, federal offices on federal ballots, with federal rules, with no sustained federal funding. Now, the state of Arizona does not compensate, for example, the counties for every ballot that gets cast in the presidential preference election. In fact, the counties have to foot half of the bill. And mind you, this is a partisan exercise. It's not an exercise that's open to all voters. So even then, the counties have to absorb an enormous amount of cost. And what we have are 15 counties, the vast majority of which are underfunded in the first place. And so what resources do we need? They need money for folks, they need money for stuff, technology, they need money to make sure that they can continue to protect their networks against foreign adversaries and other sorts of security issues and concerns. And so what we'd like to do is have a sober and honest conversation about making sure that we are fully resourcing this incredibly important activity that we have here in government. And those conversations have to happen very soon because, as everybody up here knows, particularly the former and current Secretary of State, we start planning for 2026 about a week ago. So we're already well on our way to making sure that we can get what we can, or what we need to make sure the counties can do well.
Could I just add to that?
Yep.
I mean, to that need for resources, I would want to add that, law enforcement was very involved in making sure that our elections were safe and secure this year. I mentioned ACTIC, which is the Arizona Counterterrorism and Information Center. I had conversations with all of our police chiefs and sheriffs in the days and weeks prior to the election. A lot of resources are going into making sure that our elections are safe and secure. That is only going to continue to be necessary, and not just in some of our wealthier counties like Maricopa County, but in all of our counties. We have multiple counties experience bomb threats on election night, which obviously is unacceptable, but if that is the future of elections, then we need to make sure, we need our legislature to be funding law enforcement adequately year-round, including around election season.
Probably got time for about one more. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So we beat it out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you so much.